Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the PLA podcast. I have Kartik here, which I'm so excited and looking forward to interview after many months in PLA. It's been an absolute pleasure of getting to know him, and I would love for our audience to get to know you better. Kartik, welcome to the PLA podcast.
Thanks for having me, Dunya. And yeah, it's always wonderful talking to you.
Oh, I'm truly looking forward to it. I'd love to run everyone through a little bit of your story, your background, your history, your experience in just a second here before we jump into the incredible questions that I have, and I'm so curious to ask you. Welcome,
Okay.
Kartik Agarwal. Born and raised in India, Kartik grew up as the youngest sibling and the most curious mind in the family, the one always asking how things work and why people behave the way they do. That lifelong curiosity evolved into a passion for technology and product building, eventually leading him to build his career and life in the United States. He began in hardware software integration, mastering the behind the scenes layer where innovation quietly takes shape before growing into program and product leader working across AI, automotive, cloud, and consumer tech. Known amongst his team as the therapist PM, Kartik believes that great products live at the intersection of technology, psychology, and strategy. He's led cross functional teams, partnered with hyperscalers and silicon vendors, and turned complex systems into meaningful business outcomes. Beyond titles, what drives him is a deeper question: why humans adopt technology and how AI is reshaping the way we think, create, and connect. Outside of his work, Kartik is a devoted dad of a 5-year-old, a role he calls the most challenging and meaningful leadership position he's ever held. His journey through job loss, immigration hurdles, and personal reinvention has instilled in him resilience, empathy, and an unwavering sense of purpose. For Kartik, AI isn't just a tool, it's defining moment in human history. And he's on a mission to help shape how he harnesses it with intention, integrity, and heart. Kartik, welcome once again to the PLA podcast. It's such a treat to have you on here.
Well, pleasure is all mine, Dunya.
Oh, looking forward to interviewing you further. I'm curious if we were to take you back all the way to the very beginning of your career, where did it begin and how did it all start truly?
Well, I would go as back as to my schooling days. And when I say school, I mean the primary and henceforth, because at that time as well, I was intrigued by more than my academic coursework. I would go for computer courses during summer vacation when all my friends would be playing cricket or would be traveling. Uh, so you can say I was a geeky nerd back from there on, and hence that is where my curiosity came in. And yeah, I happen to have my bachelor's of technology in electronics and communication engineering, and then that further, I would say, made me more curious, and I came down to US for my master's in computer engineering. And yeah, there is where my journey started in hardware, software integration. I'm not the usual IT guy. I'm more from the hardware world. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I'd be curious to know if someone had given you a piece of advice at that time, knowing everything that you know now, what do you wish it had been with all this new experience you've had over, the decades of work?
Well, it would be less about technology or actually what we call hard skills, but more about the emotional intelligence piece of it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like uh, when we start our career, it's always about okay, what's the latest tech trend, what's the latest technology or skill you need to have in order to be more employable or to have that extra bit of compensation or your actual value in the market. But if I would say what differentiates is your ability to connect with people or uh, just having an understanding of your environment, right? Uh, how you work with your peers, with your wider stakeholders, and eventually what kind of decision making you drive uh, in everything you do. Yes, you're a part of the team, and eventually that's how you grow. So yeah, I would tell one of that, and second, I would say I'll say two things quite frankly is to take it easy a little bit because if look back myself, I was always in this go 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 mode and didn't enjoy things that much at that time because the only way I know was to be on the lively putting the pedestal down to the wire rather than absorbing and sitting back and uh, living by the mantra of work hard but party hard.
Wow, beautiful. I love that piece, and you bring such an important insight. So many times when we're in technical fields and in a technology space, we forget the importance, and we are often later on reminded of that key component of those relationships, those professional relationships that need so much time to be nurtured. And that ROI is so powerful. And people forget that when, they're so overly focused on their technical skills, on acquiring that new piece of software, that new piece of data, understanding how those systems work, and
Right.
really negating that key element, which is really about nurturing those relationships.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'd be curious, Kartik, after all of these years of experience, so many times we'd like to think of all the good times, and we forget about those challenging times that have been instrumental to our growth and transformation,
Right.
and have been so important to us evolving into the person who we are today. I'd love to know, what were the greatest challenges of your own career?
Well, if I would say so, they always, uh, it seems like in the rear view mirror, when I look at it, uh, the earlier challenges seems so minuscule or, inconsequential, that it's like, oh, they were not really challenges. They were probably a part of fun or part of the deal. But I would say is my biggest challenge has been reinvent myself, handling, multiple layoffs, immigration issues, considering I'm in the US on a visa. How would you balance all of that together? Has I would say has been the biggest challenge, and I would say that has been more recent. I would say in the last 2 3 years, as and when we have been coming from a more tumultuous time in evolution through a pandemic and the consequential macroeconomic transformations after that. But yeah, I would say initially maybe I was in a different mindset. I always had like I think I could conquer everything. So in the initial part of my career, I would say if I look back, I think like uh, maybe I was crazy by the things I would set out and do and achieve. But I would say it's more recent when you've been through things, you become more mature, you lose that fantastical notions about things as you age. So yeah, I would say my biggest challenges have been more recent uh, to push the boundaries, how to look beyond what you've done and what you bring to the table, and eventually what you can do with what you have and what you have not. Probably challenge yourself looking into uh, whether it's as a professional or as on a personal capacity, or again from what your areas of strength has been, uh, and yeah, how you can probably keep on learning, be more curious, and really, I would say, approach things from more of the foolhardiness rather than overanalyzing everything, because that kind of kills any kind of momentum or action that is required to overcome those challenges.
Beautiful. And I love that piece of perspective where, oftentimes when we look back at our career, those things that seem like these great, massive, overwhelming challenges really turn out to be quite minuscule over time. We're looking back and think, wow, I was panicking, I was freaking out, making this
Right.
big, ginormous deal out of something that turned out to be small. And it took the time to see it in perspective. What I
Right.
love also this piece about the more recent challenges have been, what are the new boundaries I still need to push against, what can I break through, and how can I still expand in my career? I think this is such a relevant question so many of us ask at these different phases of our career, not realizing there's actually so much more out there for us. So you're asking yourself these powerful questions and saying, wait a minute, what does this next level look like for me, and how am I breaking through to achieve it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like through my association with the PLA community, I've learned so much. So one thing which I think it's still I've learned, but it's very difficult to practice on a day-to-day basis is uh, discomfort is learning and learning is discomforting. Because it's always about, you are coming out of your areas of strength or how you kind of get used to doing things in a certain way. It's like, okay, how I can do it differently, and having that, I've said, added bit of vulnerability in order to be able to do that, because we're become so conscious about it, whether we'll fail or how it would turn out, rather than just being able to do it.
Absolutely. Kartik, it brings me to my next question that has, you know what, really stirred up every single industry we've seen across the board, really, and has had people face certain fears and also certain pieces of excitement, and we've restored hope in so many ways. It's really a tool that's brought out so many of our different emotions, and it is the introduction at a global scale through to the masses really of AI. And I'd love to get your perspective and your take on AI and your experience with it.
Well, I would say AI is, I don't see AI as a skill. It's more of a literacy. Uh,
Mm,
you know, back because I'm not a native English speaker. If we were taught like if we cannot communicate well in English, it's nothing's gonna happen. And
mm,
similarly is with AI, whether
yeah.
regardless of what field you are in, whether tech, art, medical, policy making, AI would be there. So you better get that literacy going. And a little bit of it's like AI has been there for because again, from my geeky past, if you go as back as during World War II, there was a scientist called Alan Turing. You actually decrypted, if you have watched the movie The Imitation Games, there's where they decrypted the German messages and then brought the war to an end sooner than later. So it's becoming more, say, relevant nowadays. And I think where I'm a little bit concerned about is how, rather than automation, it's kind of affecting human ingenuity, in the sense, how AI is being used to overcome certain human emotions, the importance of creativity, etc., etc. But I think that's transcendent. In long run, AI would augment human capabilities, and that's the way I steer AI in my areas of influence or in my day-to-day work life. But yeah, again, if you would see human evolution through the industrial revolution, through computers, there has been a little bit of shift, and I think we're exactly in that phase. But yeah, there is a cautious side to it, where it could be used for, I would say, not so good purpose, or so for negative connotations as well. And yeah, we should be aware and prepared for that as well.
Absolutely. I think you're so right. It's such a powerful tool and can be used for greatness, and it could be used also for quite a bit of harm, and just to be aware of the potency and power of this great tool. But more than anything, I love that you put it, it's actually a language more than it is really a tool at our disposal. And I loved that twist. It was so different and so fun to hear, and just such a great reminder that it is true. Understanding the literacy behind AI, that involves AI, is going to allow us to be much greater users of the space and the experience. Kartik, we are on the PLA podcast, and obviously, I have to ask you this wonderful question, which has been, has been your biggest insight and transformation that you've gotten from PLA thus far?
Oh, that is about, again, being action oriented, uh, if I may say so. Because again, as I said, I always kind of analyze things. Oh, what's the pros and cons? And when you go too deep in that, you get stuck, and that kind of, I would say, somewhere, for a lack of better word, you're not better prepared with that kind of analysis. It kind of demotivates you, or I would say it paralyzes you to take any action. So it's one is that, and then there's another mantra that I keep on reminding myself is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I think those two, again, I may not be able to execute 100% on that, but those two, I would say, is the biggest learning or building blocks for me through the PLA engagement.
Wow, beautiful. I love this piece around how you do one thing is how you do everything. These insights from PLA have been so big over the years, and it's just so powerful. And you're right that this has been a big and transformational community for so many of us. And it's exciting to see you continue to grow and continue to evolve through it all. It's a true gift. I'm curious, Kartik, one of my favorite questions to ask on the PLA podcast truly is, what is the legacy and impact you are looking forward to leaving behind in this world and in this life?
This question scares me a little because number one, it makes me feel old, and it reminds me of mortality in a way. But I would say again, as I said, you have a more empathetic approach to life, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your professional life. Uh, and as I said, what I'm called as a therapist PM, in the sense I am always curious about what my users, what market, what problem am I solving with whatever I'm building, whether it's a product or a service. And really, I think there's where the magic exists. You're able to solve problems, you deliver value, and there is where you create bonds and connection. And I think that's what I would want to leave behind. I do have, again, through my association with PLA family, I have been left with this germ where, because again, from a more of a hardware guy, I want to be like the next Steve Jobs, building the coolest consumer tech or consumer device that you would have, and really, yeah, launch it on the stage one day. So yeah, hopefully. Uh, Something on the line of AirPods and iPhones.
I love it. I think there's so much, so many gadgets that we're still so excited to not only have invented by people like you or people that are so excited to be the creators. Us as users are so excited to receive them, to use them, to share them, to explore them. So thank you for that beautiful dream, Kartik, and I'm so excited to see it come to life. And it's such an absolute treat and blessing to get to know you through the PLA community. And I did want to put this out there for anyone who is curious about what is PLA really and what is the PLA community. This QR code will lead you to the next free training. This is a space where PLA leaves so much good value and some of its best tools and resources. So just putting this out there for anyone who is curious and just wants to have just a little bit more information, even just this training itself will actually blow your mind. Honestly, I've been to it so many times and I swear by it continuously. So many of our members have attended the PLA free training and continue to, even as PLA members. So just wanted to put that out there in case someone is curious. And just really wanted to thank you for your time, Kartik, today, your insights, your experience, everything you've shared with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure and privilege to have you on here.
Well, thanks again, Dunia, for creating this environment and for hearing me out, guys.
It's been an absolute treat and hope to have you on again at the PLA podcast. And for everyone tuning in, thank you
Absolutely.
for tuning in for another episode. And Kartik, thank you once again for your beautiful time.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.